Good evening and welcome to another production from the Forgotten Forge Amateur Dramatic Society. Tonight we will be performing pack battles, a new format in which we will open up a fresh booster pack of a collectible trading card game and go through the commons, the uncommons, the rares, etc., judging the cards on their value both as a card, the fun of their artwork, how delightful the flavour text is. I'm joined by Frank.
Howdy.
And our honourable judge, Sophia,
Hello.
who will intervene in the event of a tie. Tonight we have a fresh set booster of Dominaria United.
Each?
Yep. Hang on. Yep, you hear that? That is genuine Dominaria United crinkling. We're now going to open them and go to the first card. These are set boosters, so we're going to start by discarding the art card. I have what appears to be a colossus made of corpses attacking a knight on steed. Riving Necromass by Campbell White.
Whereas I've got an electrostatic infantry by Kakai Kataki, who rather looks like Father Christmas with a battle axe.
Yeah, not a bad card. Obviously less useful in its art variety, so discarding the basic land.
Yep.
One mountain to the side.
One island to the side.
And here we begin. So, on my side, I have Gaia's Might. 1 green, instant speed. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each basic land type amongst lands you control. I quite like this. It's a flexible giant growth. Not so good in the early game perhaps, but devastating in the later.
Well, the card I've got is probably not going to see a lot of play because it's a 7 casting cost card, 1 blue and 6 colourless.
Yeah, always bad for a common.
Yeah, Talarian Terror, which is a creature, serpent. It's a 5/5 basic, and its one good thing is it does have ward 3.
Not bad.
And this spell costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. So it might see a bit of play, but it does take a little bit of work to get out.
I see for this round, I think you've got the better card, because obviously it's a boat anchor in your opening hand, but later in the game, potentially 1 blue for a 5/5 serpent ain't too bad.
With ward 2 as well.
Especially.
So you've got a nice one-trick
Pump spell
where I've got quite a large creature, which if you're playing a lot of instants and sorceries, but again you've got to play a lot of instants and sorceries, so there might be a place for it in some decks. So okay.
Point Frank. Next card. I will kick us off. I have Barkweave Crusher, 3 and a green for an elemental warrior. Base stats 2/5. It has keyword, the new keyword from this set, Enlist. As this creature attacks, you may tap a non-attacking creature you control without summoning sickness. When you do, add its power to this creature until end of turn. It's a good example of Enlist, but personally I think this is draft chaff. So let's see what you got.
Whereas I've got an Idyllic Beachfront, which is a common dual land. It's a land with both plains and island in its title bar, which means you can tap it to add 1 white or 1 blue. And it comes into play tapped. So, not a bad card, it's a good fixer, it's common, which means that it will help fill out decks that need those colours for a cheap price. But really speaking, I don't know. There are better cards out there. It slows you down because it comes into play tapped. It is white or blue, and I do believe that there are cards in this set that are 3 colour uncommons.
Yes,
so
and there are...
As a common, I can see it being passed over for other cards.
No, it is nice though. It's the first common, as you say, named dual land that we have.
It is, yeah. So I'm ambivalent about that, to be fair.
Out of the two, if I was put, I think I'm going to award the point to the Idyllic Beachfront, because as I said, I think the Barkweave Crusher is a bit of draft chaff.
Okay, well, I will be guided by you on this, because again, I myself would have probably gone for the Crusher, but I can see your points for the beachfront. So
is this our first time? We're going to hand over?
I think we will have that one as a tie.
Very well. In general, as playing ability, I am favouring the Barkweave Crusher because you can probably get quite a fair bunch of multicolour lands. But I do agree they are quite similar when you're just looking at that particular value. So I was looking more at the art and the flavour text to help stem the tide. And personally, I prefer the art and flavour text of the Barkweave Crusher.
Okay, so if you want to read out the flavour text for the Barkweave, and then I'll read out the flavour text for the Beach Front.
Phyrexia may be ancient, but Gaia is eternal. Queen Alanal of Rodanak.
Whereas my flavour text is, in the tradition of the original Tellurian Academy, every Tellurian campus is built near a body of water.
Good reference to older cards.
Indeed.
Right, so thanks to the judge, I've taken the point. We'll call that 1-1.
Yep.
Next card.
Do you want me to start for this one?
Be my guest.
Okay, now I have a Pixie Illusionist for 1 blue total. 1/1. Now the only problem I've got here is it's a Pixie Illusionist, but they've given it the creature type fairy. Whereas fairies and pixies are two different creatures in my mind, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think that's because I don't believe Pixie is a creature type currently.
Maybe they've just done it as more like a fade type thing, but
I suppose they might have gotten away calling it an illusion creature, but then people might have got confused with, you remember the old school illusions that used to have, if they're targeted, they self-destruct.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay, so Pixie Illusionist, 1 blue to cast, it's a 1/1 creature fairy wizard. It does have flying, which is useful. Makes it slightly better than a normal 1/1 for 1. It does have a kicker that is off colour, so it's a blue casting cost creature, but it does have a green and 3 colourless for its kicker. And if Pixie Illusionist was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. So you take it from a 1 casting cost creature to a 5 casting cost creature for a 3/3 flyer, if you kick it. I would say that's moderate. I wouldn't say it's over.
It's not the best, but as an optional extra.
And then it's got a tap ability, which again isn't the best. It's target land you control becomes basic land type of your choice until end of turn.
Never complain at some colour fixing.
True, but the only use I can see for that other than colour fixing is where you wanted to protect a non-basic land. And so you go, someone's trying to destroy a non-basic land.
Yes,
tap it, make it a basic, spell fizzle.
I can see that, but don't forget as well, as we discussed with the domain effects in this set, having access to being able to turn, say, a duplicate island into the extra land type you need to trigger a domain might be useful.
True, domain is, I can see that.
There is
overall, I would say that was a middling card.
Yeah.
But it depends on what you've got as well.
Yeah, it's one of those ones I might run in a commander deck if I was running lots of old school creatures with like Forest Walk or Island Walk, etc. But for my card, it's my turn to play a dual land. As I throw down a Radiant Grove, it is a land, Forest Plains, enters the battlefield tapped, and as you'd expect from its land typing, it adds green or white mana. I would say for me in this instance, I know I favoured the land last time, but I think the creature, the Pixie Illusionist, has got it in my mind in this one. It's a solid land, it's a solid 1-drop that gets a little better as the game goes along, and as we just discussed, it has some potential.
Yeah, I can see your point on that. Generally speaking, and I would say, like I said, fairly middling card, but I can see your points that I didn't think of with the domain and the other things. So yeah, I can agree with that.
Point Pixie.
Yep, point for the Pixie.
Next card.
Do you want me to start? Or will you?
Okay. Yep. I will start off with, and some bitching artwork on this one, if you're part of my French listeners. Take up the shield. 1 and a white for an instant speed spell. Put a +1/+1 on target creature. Not so it doesn't have to be your own. Potential commander shenanigans. And as well as the +1/+1 counter, it gains lifelink and indestructible until end of turn.
Ooh, nice politics card.
Yes.
Yeah, get some table politics going with that. Okay, I have, I would say, a picture of a griffin that looks like its back is about to break.
Yeah.
The Griffin Protector for 1 white and 3 colourless for a 2/3 flyer, creature type Griffin, no shocker there. But whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Griffin Protector gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Now, I like the +1/+1. I hate the fact it's only until end of turn. I much prefer cards that if they're going to give you a +1/+1, the +1/+1 sticks around.
Yeah.
But again, it's forecasting cost for a 2/3 flyer, which isn't too far off basic.
Yeah.
It's about what it is. There's nothing really special to say about that, to be fair.
Whilst I do like seeing Griffin is one of the more obscure creature types, so I'm sure there's some people out there celebrating that their Griffin Commander deck is new offered. I think for this one, I'm going to try and argue that Take Up the Shield is the better of the two.
Given the fact that it's a +1/+1, doesn't target creatures you control only, it gives it indestructible and lifelink until end of turn. You've got so many uses for a 2-drop in white.
It's a lovely little gotcha card.
It is, and it can also cause trouble on the table in a multiplayer commander game because you can have some nice political shenanigans. I would definitely give it to Take Up the Shield.
Point Shield. Next card. On my hand, I have a rare thing indeed, a 1 red enchantment. It is an enchantment aura, enchant creature. Well, I say obviously, but then these days you do get artifact enchantment. When this enchantment enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn, and it gives the creature it is enchanting +1/+1 in haste. So again, it's another gotcha card, or a good way of sneaking some damage through, but I don't feel it's as good as the shield, so let's see what Frank's got.
Well, I think I'm going to win the point on this one with an uncommon, Najal the Storm Runner. Now, he is a little bit pricey at a 5 total converted mana cost, 1 red, 2 blue, 2 colourless. A legendary creature, a freak wizard. That's a basic 5/4. So 5 mana for a 5/4. That's pretty decent in and of itself, about standard. But you may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash.
Ooh.
Whenever Najal the Storm Runner attacks, you may pay 2, colourless. If you do, when you cast your next instant or sorcery this turn, copy it. You may choose new targets for this copy. Straight out the bat, just having flash would put that over the top in my mind, but the fact that the next time you cast a spell you may pay 2 and copy it.
Yeah, no argument there. That's just some straight gas right there.
Exactly.
And as you say, I mean, a little up there at 5 costs, so maybe it won't see as much play in standard or modern, or definitely not modern, but yeah, that is a lovely commander card right there.
That, I would say, that would be a very decent commander card, especially with so many decks that run spell copying effects. Getting another one to stack on top just puts it over the top, doesn't it?
Indeed. Point to the Ifrit. Next card, I will lay down Knight of Dust Shadow. 1 and a black for a human knight. Base 2/2, has the keyword menace, meaning that it can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Secondary abilities. First one, flat out your opponents can't gain life. And for 1 and a black, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn. So it's a classic black weenie that can pump itself, but it's got menace on top and it knackers some life gain strategies. So I feel I've got a good 7 or 8 out of 10 here.
I would say for a 2-drop, that's a 2/2.
Yeah.
Straight off the bat, that's a decent card. Then you've got menace.
Yeah.
And then it draws a massive target on itself by saying your opponents can't gain life.
Exactly.
You've got to protect the card, but you will knacker some strategies with that.
And whilst it is a little off colour for its creature types, humans and knights are both common tribals.
Yeah, it's got good tribals. Right, my card is the Heirloom Battle Hymn, which is a 1 red and 2 colourless instant, obviously themed on Minotaur tribal from the artwork. It does have a kicker. The kicker cost is 1 white. So you'll take it from a 3 cost to a 4 cost overall if you kick it. But Heirloom Battle Hymn deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker, and if you kick it, you gain 4 life.
Nice.
Straight away, it's a very nice card. It isn't exactly situational. It's red-white, deals damage, and if you kick it, you gain life, so it's giving you that double swing. But straight off the bat, if you've got someone who's playing black, then the card that the Knight of Dusk Shadow does, it immediately knackers the kicker.
That is true. But then you can see this coming, so you don't have to pay the optional kicker cost.
No, or you just target it with the Heirloom Battle Hymn.
It's nice, but I look at that and all I see is a lightning helix that costs 2 extra mana for 1 extra point either way.
It's a nice concept, but I don't think it's all that great. And I would definitely say that the abilities on the Knight, even though it is quite weak, I would say that puts that over the edge. I would give the point to the Knight.
That's fair. I agree. Or I will finish by saying on the other, I do believe you're instant. A good draft stuff. I'm not sure how much play you'll see outside of that.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Point to the Knight. And the next card, and apparently this pack is in perfect balance because I've gone from the Knight of Dusk Shadow to the Knight of Dawn's Light. On the other, this one is 1 and a white for a 2/2 human knight, so exact same cost, base typing and creature typing. This one, however, has First Strike, which is a combat focus keyword. If I would gain life, gain that much life plus 1 instead, and like its dark counterpart for 1 and a white, I can give it +1/+1 till end of turn.
It's a pity they weren't in opposition, because if they were in opposition, that would have been a much closer decision, I think. Right, my card is Twinferno. Twinferno is a 1 red and 1 colourless instant where you get to choose one of 2 modes. The first mode you can choose is when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell, you may choose new targets for the copy. The second mode you can choose is target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn.
Ooh, this is a toughie.
So yeah, I quite like Twinferno because again you've got the copying spell mechanic, but you've also got the option to take it to combat with double strike.
Yes, I must say, whilst I do like the Knight, same as it's the previous Knight of Dusk Shadow, it's a solid, well-costed creature, but the shenanigans Twinferno can unleash for 2 mana is much bigger. Especially as it is nice to see a copy spell that doesn't cost double red or doesn't have limitations on it. And the fact that you can use it as a, is it Kolaghan's Command that sees a lot of play in Modern for giving, no, not Kolaghan's Command, Temur Battle Rage, which I think is the same mana cost as well. I could be wrong on that, it might be 1 less, but yeah, I'm going to give it to the Twinferno in this one.
As much as I dislike playing red because I think it's magic on easy mode, I would have to agree. I just love copy spell mechanics, and the fact that you've got the ability to not only copy a spell but choose instead to take it to combat.
Yeah.
It can swing a game.
Exactly, and as we said, it is a card that is reasonably good in the early game, but really good in the long game. So, point Twinferno. And for the next one, I've got a lot of words here, as I have Torre di Avent Fury Rider, 1 double red and white for a 3/3 legendary human knight with trample and vigilance, and now the word salad. Whenever Torre di Avente Fury Rider attacks, all other attacking creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Other red attacking creatures you control gain trample until end of turn. Untap each other white attacking creature you control. So this is obviously a Boros Commander with a combat focus that pumps the team and then gives you other bonuses so long as you keep to that Boros tribal.
Yeah, looking at that, that's quite simply vigilance trample on the main guy. All your red gets trample, and all your white guys get pseudo vigilance.
And whether they're red or white, so long as they're swinging, they get +1/+1.
But have you noticed you've got 3 nights in a row?
Yes.
So yeah, that's a very nice solid card for 4 mana. Right. Again, we've got a bit of mirroring because I've got a forecast. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Have you got? I'm
four.
wondering if this this be the night pack. Have you got another copy mechanic? Because you've had 2 of them in a row as well.
No. This is another 4-cost card, so it's commensurate with your Tory de Lavenant. I've got Ruilic Mons, Warren Chief. So straight from that, if you're paying attention, you'll know it's a goblin.
Yeah.
It's a legendary goblin, though. It's a 3/3. So again, it's commensurate with yours as well.
Yeah.
It also has menace.
Nice.
And then whenever Ruilic Mons Warren Chief attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped. If you didn't put a card onto the battlefield this way, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. So it has completely different mechanics, but they both key off attack, they're both 3/3, and they're both 4 casting cost. The one thing that I would say is that you do have a very nice martial artwork on your card. However, I've got stained glass.
Yes, you do. I was going to bring that up. And whilst I do like a good Boros smacky downy deck, especially with Pride of the Legion and what have you, I got to say that is obviously it's a little bit more expensive mana wise, but that's like is it Goblin Guide on steroids? Because I believe there's
it's the same casting cost.
No, I'm referring your Goblin to another one.
Oh, you mean to another card, not your card. I've got you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Because there's I believe it's a 2-drop in Modern that does the first half of that, getting to look at the top card, and if it's a land, you plonk it into play. But obviously, for your extra 2 mana, you get access to potential Goblin tokens, and it's nice to see a legendary Goblin outside of just mono red.
Yes, it's nice the fact that it's also red green. And it's giving the potential ramp, and it's your choice whether or not to put it in. So you can draw the card, and if it's a land, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped. If you don't put a card onto the battlefield, you get a goblin. So you get the choice. Again, I'm all for player choice. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield, which is a must. Then I may not like it as much. But the fact that you can choose the tactical of having the extra land for your next turn, or the goblin, and then next turn I get to play it anyway.
Yeah.
It's a nice little swing.
Yeah.
I think.
A nice little bon mot.
Bon mot. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice bit of French.
Yeah. Whilst we could debate these cards back and forth, I'm personally, because I'm leaning more towards the Goblin side myself, and as you say, it does have the slight edge in the stained glass artwork, I'm going to give the point to your Goblin Chief.
Thank you, because I'd probably go for the Goblin myself, even though I do like the fact that not only do you have a nice run of Night Tribal going on, it is also a very nice Boros Tribal as well. But yeah, so point to the Chief.
Yep. And next card. And now it's my turn to play the stained glass, as I bring down Vohar Vodalian Desecrator. It's blue and black for a 1/2 legendary creature, and get ready, here comes some word salad, Phyrexian Merfolk Wizard.
It's another one of those stealth Phyrexians we've been hearing so much about.
Yes, and the abilities is even more word salad. We have 2 activated abilities on this card, so it is quite a small body, as they often say, dice to removal. But let's assume it doesn't die to removal. Its first ability is you tap it, draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded an instant or sorcery card this way, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Its other activated ability, which you can activate after tapping it, is for 2 generic. You can sacrifice Vohar Vodalian Desecrator. You may cast target instant or sorcery from your graveyard this turn. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only as a sorcery. So, it's an interesting one. I like loot effects, especially loot effects that have the added bonus of nibbling at your opponent. The second ability, though, just makes me think that this is a worse... I've forgotten the bloody name of it now. Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Go on.
No, yeah. No. Is there anything else you want to say about that?
No, I was going to add that again. It's a good game, saying Commander, the game runs long, being able to bring it out, and then the following turn essentially paying 2 extra to flash back any card from your graveyard. But outside that, I'm not too fond. I'm more fond of the artwork than I am of the card.
Okay, well I've got a bit of word salad, although not as much as you, because I have Danitha Benalia's Hump. Now, she's a little bit high in the casting cost, with 1 white and 4 generic, but it's my turn to have a knight, in this case a legendary creature, human knight, who has first strike, vigilance and lifelink.
Ooh.
She's also a 4/4, so for 5 mana, 4/4 with 3 keywords is not too shabby. However, where her power really comes into play is when Danitha Benalia's Hope enters the battlefield, you may put an aura or equipment card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield attached to Danitha.
Damn.
Straight away, if you've got the right artifact or aura card, she becomes infinitely more playable.
Yeah, no contest. Point to her. And I've got to say, I do like that artwork as well.
I don't know what that would be classed as, but I have to admit it is a very nice artwork. It's understated in the pose of the main character that's obviously being referenced, but just the halo effect and the way in which it's shaded.
Yeah, it's nice framing as well.
It's very nice framing.
And as I look at it, I also realise, I think I already know you might have the slightly better pack here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for my card, I got. We've gone through one at a time. My last card was an uncommon, whereas yours was a rare, which makes me think you've probably already. If you're already into the rare block, you must have at least 2 or 3 in there.
Also, when you had a common, I had an uncommon as well.
Yeah.
I think there was the Najal, the Stormrunner.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I might have slightly edged it on rarities. Although you might pull it back at the back end.
Let's find out.
Let's find out. Yeah.
Going into the just quickly check. I've got 2 cards left.
I've got 2 cards.
Yep. So we are going in order. It's time for my rare with Anointed Peacekeeper. 2 and a white for a 3/3 human cleric with vigilance. So already off to a good start. It's not a bad body for its price. It's on tribal. Good keyword. And now for the word salad. As appointed Peacekeeper enters the battlefield, look at an opponent's hand and then choose any card name. Spells your opponent's cast with the chosen card name cost 2 generic more to cast, and activated abilities of sources with the chosen name cost 2 generic more to activate unless they're mana abilities. This is one, we've mostly, because that is what we tend to play here, we've mostly been looking from a commander perspective on this. This is one I could see having some play in standard. It's a good nobbler.
It's a good nobbler that's on tribal. Okay, I also have a white card. I also have a card that's quite good in tribal. For 1 white and 1 colourless, so it's 1 colourless cheaper than yours.
Yeah.
It's also a rare. But my tribals are creature, core, soldier. So straight away, soldier tribal and core tribal.
Yeah.
Valiant veteran, as I've said, and other soldiers you control get +1/+1 on a 2/2 body. So we're on brand roughly for the cost effect and for that. However, he has a late game ability for when you've got 2 white and 3 colourless mana. So we're running a little bit longer in the game. So probably not much use in modern standard. But exile Valiant Veteran from your graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on each soldier you control.
Ooh, that's good. I do like it. In this instance, I think I'm going to argue that the Peacekeeper is a little better, simply because it's white nobbling is quite common, but white nobbling that lets you look at your opponent's hand beforehand, that's more of white-black or just pure black sort of territory. So I would argue, I'm arguing for the Anointed Peacekeeper.
Whilst I would say that the Valiant Veteran has got 2 very good abilities in giving a global +1/+1 to soldiers whilst it's on the battlefield, and when you exile it they get +1/+1 tokens, it's not the only card of its type. It's something that we've seen before. I wouldn't say that it's exactly groundbreaking in its territory. Whereas, like you say, you do have an ability which is rarely seen. So that probably give your card the edge, because people will probably want to play that card because it allows them to do something different rather than just play the same old like we've played before. So I would give your point to the Anointed as well.
Point to the Peacekeeper. And finally, I believe we're down to the foil of the pack.
We are indeed.
So, on my side, I've got a foil common, Yavimaya Steel Crusher. It's 1 and a red for a 2/8 warrior. I've got to say, it doesn't look bad in the artwork. The foil does pick out the armour nicely. And it's an unusual one, this one. 8 warrior, not a great tribal, more warrior than 8. But it has the new keyword enlist, which, as I mentioned earlier, when it attacks, you may tap another non-attacking creature without summoning sickness if you do add its power to this. And it has an activated ability for 1 generic mana. You can sacrifice it at instant speed to destroy target artifact.
Once again, I've got the slight edge on rarity because my foil is an uncommon and I have the Sengir Connoisseur. So for 2 black and 3 colourless, creature type vampire, you get a 3/3 with flying. And it has the old Sengir ability of whenever 1 or more other creatures die. No, this is better. Because the old Sengir was when it damaged and if the creature died afterwards. This is a straight up whenever 1 or more other creatures die. Put a +1/+1 counter on Sengir Connoisseur. So that would trigger on sack abilities of your own.
Yes,
it does. Oh, but it only does trigger once per turn.
Yeah,
but still, it's any creature that dies at any time.
Yeah, that is the limiting factor, but it's a much wider net, even if you can only cast it once per turn. I do like how little red creatures that come with a secondary ability. In this case, having it for 1 mana be an instant speed artifact destruction is nice, but yeah, no argument here. Better tribal, better card effect, I think. So yeah, points to the Sangir.
I've been keeping track of the amount of total points.
Not entirely, but I think overall you've won this pack.
I think I've edged it by maybe 1 or 2 points there, definitely. But they are not bad packs. Just because we are comparing card types with different card types, we're also looking at the fact that the historical cards as well, where cards may have similar effects at lower casting costs or higher casting costs. Yeah. So it's not just the cards in the deck, it's the cards in context.
No.
So
it's a bit of fun at the end of the day.
And at the end of the day, it's all opinion, and everyone has an opinion when it comes to Magic, which is why it's so much fun to play, because you can prove your opinions at the battle table.
Indeed. And with that, I believe it is time to wrap up. So before we say goodbye, allow me to say, please, if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, comment and subscribe. Share it with your friends. Share it with your enemies. We'll take anyone. And with that, I will say goodbye. I have been Morat.
I've been Frank.
I've been Sophia.
And it's been our pleasure. Good night.